Hi everybody, I'm Dawn. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. So today we are going to talk about Madeline Soto's case a little bit more because more things have come to my attention. I've taken more notes that I want to discuss. So just some things that we're going to talk about. Now, I am not, when I do this video, I'm not accusing the mom. I'm reading about things that I saw or talking about things I saw in the news. I'm not getting this from other YouTube channels unless they're news channels, like actual news channels, like news. And if anything is taken from another YouTuber's channel or from a talk about something I saw on another YouTuber's channel, I'll say who it is. But these notes are directly from actual news reports I've heard. I've seen a lot of speculation, a lot of people clickbaiting their videos with their theories that they're trying to pass off as fact. And I don't do that here. I'm not going to do that here. I'm not going to state something is fact when it isn't. And I'm not going to assume my theories are correct. I could very well be wrong. And I'm also going to present to you other theories I've heard, but that's all they are, theories. And again, I'm not presenting them as fact. I in no way want to step on the mom or say the mom is guilty of something, but if that seems to be where a certain topic I'm discussing leads to, that's where it leads to. I don't want to step on the mom or tear her down because she very well could know nothing. It's just there were contradictions and behaviors and things she's said that just are troublesome to me. And again, I'm in no way saying that she's being dishonest or she's lying or she's fishy. I'm just, again, talking about what I've seen from reliable news sources, credible news sources, what I've, theories I've read, which will be, or I've heard, which will be presented as theory, not fact, and just my opinions. And my opinions are just that. They're my opinions. I'm entitled to my opinion. You're entitled to yours. And I am interested to hear them from you in the comments. But we're not going to state anything that isn't fact as fact, until we know it to be. There is one thing that I am dead pressed on, is that Stephen Scumbag, what's his last name? I already forgot his last name because it's not worth remembering. But that guy, the mom's boyfriend, he's guilty. We know. And see, the thing is, and we're going to talk about this later in this video, this is the state of Florida. I live in Florida. This is the state of Florida. And last year, Governor DeSantis, who, I don't love the man, but one thing he definitely did right, and he's done other things correctly too, but one thing he definitely did right was sign into legislation that capital SA is, can have a maximum penalty of the death penalty. And I approve that message. And I am someone that part of me is opposed to the death penalty, but if you hurt a child, you don't belong on this earth. You do not belong on this earth with other civilized human beings. You don't belong in prison with other people there. There are people in prison for a lot lesser crimes than that, and they don't deserve to be exposed to a piece of dirt scumbag like this Stearns creep. I just remembered his last name. Sometimes it takes me a minute remembering creeps' names. I'm going to take a sip of my beverage. And yes, if you follow my channel, like my other things I talk about on my channel, you know that I recently lost a pet, my Chihuahua, Tina. Sorry, who I love. I loved her like, I know if you have a pet, you understand. But sometimes when I was at my loneliness, even, in this household, I always had her. And now, thank God, we have Brian. He's a little blue right now because he's feel in Tina's absence. We're having a hard time in this household. I've been crying off and on since Tuesday, and it's really hard for me. And I don't know if this is normal, but it's hard for me. And Eric's told me we can get another dog, and when I'm ready, we are going to get another dog. We're going to rescue another dog that, you know, we can love and keep for a long time and take good care of. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and we're probably going to do it soon, because dogs that need rescuing now. They don't care that I'm grieving. They need rescuing now. So anyway, enough about that. We're going to get on to the actual topic of the video, and that's sweet little Madeline Soto. It's just, this is such a heartbreaking case. It's, you know, even though I'm in Jacksonville and this happened in St. Cloud or Kissimmee, it's still close to home. I'm there almost every weekend, and it's not to make it about me at all, but I'm sure, like with you in your home state where you live, when something happens to a child that makes big news, it hits close to home. You know, it really does. And because even people who don't have children care about children, you know what I mean? Like, even people that don't like children care about them, like, don't want horrible things happening to them, except for the horrible people that do horrible things to children, like this piece of dirt. I have some information to add regarding my earlier video I made on her a couple days ago, or made on the case a couple days ago. It's not exactly new information, but it's new to the information I've already discussed. So it's just it's stuff I want to discuss now. Jen Soto, Madeline's mom, told the police the last time she saw Madeline was the morning of the day she went missing. So that Monday morning, February 26th, when she was getting ready for school. However, in her interview with WFTV, she said the last time she saw her was the night before, when she was telling mom about her birthday party. Now, I've heard some arguments that, well, she didn't actually say she saw Maddie. She said she talked to her. But seeing it was implied that she saw her. So that's kind of what I'm going with. Again, she may have just spoken to her, but I don't know. And there are a couple different theories I heard that I want to address. And I just want to get them right, so I'm going to read them. So I've heard these, like, people have emailed me or talked to me and told me, you know, in chat rooms, and not chat rooms, do we even have chat rooms anymore? But in discussion about this, Stephen Scumbag Stearns is the prime suspect in the case. And I'm sure, I'm positive mom is being looked at in some capacity. Okay, they're not going to share everything with us. The police say they're keeping the investigation close to the vest. So we don't know what they're investigating. And just because mom hasn't been arrested yet doesn't mean she won't be, or she may not be at all. She may not be involved at all. But we can't ignore the inconsistencies in her stories. But again, they're just inconsistencies. They could be matters of misspeaking, or, you know, just... Oh, and I want to just address, people have, there were a couple things I wanted to address. The first thing was, I've heard a lot of people, like in comments and on other people's videos, talk about, why would she plan a birthday party for her on a day she couldn't be there, and why not on her actual birthday? I have rarely celebrated my birthday or my son's birthday. What is that on my glass? Okay, it's just a shadow. But I have rarely celebrated a birthday or one of my son's birthdays on the actual birthday, unless it fell on a weekend. You know, I'm not going to celebrate. We'll do something small for the actual day of, but like usually we'll wait till the weekend, either before or after, to do the party or whatever. So that to me isn't unusual. I mean, I thought that was a pretty common practice, maybe not, but yeah, it was probably, you know, that type of case. And why did she plan it on a day she couldn't attend? I mean, I wouldn't do that. I would definitely be there for my kid's birthday party, but, you know, we don't know her reason and why she planned it for that day. Maybe for some reason Maddie wanted it that day. Maybe most of her friends, I don't know, have dance practice or soccer practice or whatever on Saturdays, so she wanted to have it on a day most of her friends could be there, and unfortunately that added up to a day her mom couldn't be there. We have no idea why it would be planned on a day mom couldn't be there. So there was that one thing. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was people are talking about how stoic she is in her interviews, and also how stoic Grandma Jen's mom is or was in her interviews. I think that might be almost a cultural thing. I've known, a lot of women who can hold it together. Now, the lack of emotion from the mom is a little off-putting, and I know I mentioned that in my last video, but, now that I've seen her mom be so stoic, it might just be their way. It might just, I don't know. I've watched body language experts who say, have had remarks about that, and I will try and link them. Is that a pube on my phone? No, I think it's just a brush hair. I'm sorry. That was very crude. I'm sorry. But anyway, let's talk about these theories. One theory I heard, and I think the most logical one, not saying that the other ones can't be true, but just this is the most logical one, that Stephen Stearns is the one that unalived Madeline. For reasons I don't know. Maybe she was going to tell. That could be a very good reason why. Maybe she was going to tell. Maybe she was like sick of it, started feeling like this wasn't right, and was going to tell. And he couldn't have that, of course. You went out there? Okay, you can go out there in a minute. And another theory I heard, which it holds water, but I just don't know. I don't think it's it. It very well could be, but I don't think it is. And again, I don't mean to be pointing the finger at mom, but these are just theories I've heard that I'm going over. And the theory is mom unalived her because of Stefan, and Stefan was helping to cover it up. I don't believe that one, although I do believe mom knows more than she's letting on. She may be terrified, or whatever her reasons are. That doesn't come into play in a court of law, not really. It may come into play in a court of law for sentencing if something were to happen and she was to have to serve time for something, but it doesn't come into play in the actual presentation of evidence. I heard that on Court TV from one of the think tank panel guests. But I just don't think mom is the one that unalived her. And I know moms have unalived their children before. We've heard all about it all the time. And so it's not that it's not believable. It's just that I just don't think she did. I just don't think it. And a third theory, listen to me. A third theory I heard, and I really don't believe this one, is that she unalived herself. And Stefan tried to cover it up because he knew his dirty little secret would come to light, which it came to light anyway. And but I don't believe that theory at all. I don't believe that at all. But it came to light anyway because he thought a factory reset was going to get rid of all that stuff. Mr. Factory Reset. He's such a dirtbag, and he looks like a dirtbag. I wish that they would just let me go there just to punch him in the face. Just let me punch him in the face just one time. One time. I hit hard. Let me do it one time. But anyway, to me, it's Occam's razor. If you have two competing ideas to explain the same thing, lean towards the most obvious thing, the most logical thing, the thing that's most plausible. The simpler one, the simpler explanation. Like if you hear hoofbeats in Central Park, think horses, not zebras. You know what I'm saying? You get it? Don't try to get creative with theories in real life. It's almost always the simplest explanation. Sort of like, with some of the theories I've heard, it's sort of like Family Feud. And not to make light of the situation, but like on Family Feud, a lot of times you'll watch Family Feud, people are trying to give really unique answers. You know what I mean? like they'll say something like, I don't know, what's a popular makeup brand? And somebody will say something like something really underground, you know, and you know what I'm saying? Like they'll give just an answer that you have to think of what is the most obvious, what is, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay, and from where I'm sitting, the simplest explanation is that piece of garbage, Stephen Stearns, unalived that little girl after essaying her for years. Did mom know about it? I can't say for certain, but the inconsistencies in her interview with police versus her interviews on television, they just can't be ignored. And I'm sorry about my hair. I was caught out in the rain. Although TV interviews aren't forensic, you know, they're not forensic, they're not scientific, I'm sure they aren't being ignored by the police either. They're probably watching it like, you know, maybe we need to find out why she told them that. Of course, she could just say, oh, I just told them that because I was nervous and I'm just trying, and that could very well be the reason, you know. But I'm sure they aren't even, I'm sure they're not being ignored. But even in one part, and this could just be me being the paranoid person I am, I even see a hint of, oh crap, I said something wrong, in her eyes during this interview. And I'm going to show you the clip now.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I was the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner.
Now that could be nothing, or it could be just her saying, oh crap, I said the wrong thing. That's not what I told the police, even though what I told the police is true. That's just what came out of my mouth. So it could be that she did realize that her response to the interviewer didn't match her response to the police, but that it was still an honest mistake. I know some of y'all are like, that's foolish, but just bear with me, okay? But that, anyway, that could just be, you know, her face, her body language. I don't know her you know, her, what is it, the base? I don't know her baseline, you know? The body language experts are all mostly saying the same thing. You know, mom is acting suspicious. But again, I don't know her baseline. And they're only theorizing. None of them are saying what they're saying is scientifically accurate. But it's interesting that they're all pretty much saying the same or similar things. I do feel like she knows something. I feel like she does. Of course, police aren't talking because they're investigating, trying to build a case against this garbage monster. We in no way want him to get away with unaliving that little girl, even though with what the police have on him so far, he can be sentenced to death. Yes, he'll sit on death row for a long time, but with what they have, he can be sentenced to death. And but that's not justice. Justice is finding out who did this to Madeline, and I think it was him. And I don't think I'm alone in that thought. But they don't want to leave any stone unturned. Oh, let's talk about the birthday party. So I feel like while mom was at work after the party, he wanted to do some inappropriate things with to Madeline. I don't want to say with Madeline because she wasn't in on it. He was doing the things to her. And things didn't go his evil way. And I don't know, he may have unalived her that night, you know, the night before she was actually reported missing. I mean, we know mom is, I don't want to say lying about the last time she talked to Madeline, but you know, her stories are conflicting. They're not consistent. So we know that. And, you know, again, because she told the reporter the last time she talked to her was the night before after the party, but told the police she last saw her in the morning around 8 when she was getting ready for school. And the police say video footage they have of Stearns at the apartment complex with Madeline's body seen in the car led them to believe that Madeline had already been deceased by 8:19 a.m. Surely she wouldn't have seen her at 8 a.m. if her deceased body was seen in the car at 8:19 a.m. Police believe she was deceased at that time, by that time. Mom also states Madeline was seen on camera at 9 a.m. at the church, although there is surveillance footage at the church, from the church surveillance. People say they never said that Madeline was on that footage. They never said Madeline was seen on that footage. Now, Jen, Madeline's mom, said that her sister the police told her they saw Madeline on the surveillance. But the police say they never told anyone that. So, yeah. And also, they said that it was real grainy. They couldn't tell who it was on the video. And also another thing I'm wondering about, and I'm sure they've talked to all of Madeline's friends, is that, before school, I think we've all done it. If we get there early, we hang out with our friends for a little while. So if she was dropped off there, she would have been hanging out with her friends at some point. So, and did any of her friends see her in the morning? I wonder, and I'm sure they have all been questioned about that. But when Mom said she called all her friends, they said they hadn't seen her. Now, I don't know if that means in school or at all the entire day. So that's something else to kind of think about. And I'm looking for those answers, but I don't know that I'm going to find them. Also, Madeline's mom says she called the police at 4:45 the day Madeline went missing, but the police confirmed she called at around 8 p.m. So I don't know what weight that carries as far as the investigation goes. Whether she called at 4:45 or 8 p.m., I don't know. Maybe she called at 8 p.m., but then was getting like, why did you wait so long to call? So then she started saying 4:45 p.m. I don't know. But I don't know what bearing the time difference would have as far as the investigation goes. But the police do confirm that it was around 8 p.m. I also wanted to point out this Stearns interview right here.
What were the conversations that y'all had in the car when you dropped her off?
Not much. She was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good.
So he says she was asleep in the car. Why did he find that necessary to say? With his fake crying. Oh, I want to punch him in the face so bad. I just want to. I am not a violent person, I promise you, but I hope somebody gets a hold of him. I hope somebody gets a hold of him. I really do. Because there won't be no electric chair or lethal injection. They will make him suffer, and he deserves to suffer. In fact, he deserves to suffer and be revived and then suffer some more. Death is too good for him. But at the same time, I don't want my tax dollars paying for him to live in prison for years and years through appeal and appeal. But anyway, I just think it's weird that he pointed that out. Maybe in case someone saw her body in the car, he's explaining, well, that's why she looked like that. She was asleep. I don't know. I just found it a very weird, interesting thing for him to say throughout the interview. She was asleep most of the ride. Why is that interesting to say? Not interesting, but why did he find that necessary to say? It's odd. And another thing that was brought up by a neighbor of mine, and I thought this was kind of interesting because we know this is a thing, is that she just turned 13. And she literally just turned 13. Maybe she aged out for his taste. And I've seen other people theorize this too. I saw a comment last night. I was watching somebody's, I was replaying a live, and somebody had commented maybe she got too old for him, and that's possible. but maybe she aged out for his taste, and his solution was to unalive her, and probably move on to another single mom. My neighbor said maybe he already had another single mom picked out, was already starting to groom her into a relationship so he could start hooking up with her kid. You know, maybe not. I mean, it's entirely possible. And here, I want to show here are some creepy posts that creepy freak Stearns made on, I believe it was Reddit. And I'm going to insert them all here, and I will also read them because they are kind of hard to see. Okay, this is very rough to see. I have to enlarge it and see if I could do better. Finding people to date that haven't spent all their teens and 20s in the sun with minimal sun protection, making them all look like a 70-year-old Clint Eastwood, plus all the emotional baggage and kids from first marriages or absent fathers. Honestly, dating in after your 30s is a shit show these days. One begins to understand the DiCaprio strategy. DiCaprio? But he's such a creep. Because he's looking for single women with young daughters. He's a freak. Now, I don't know what the context of this next one is. I'm just going to read it. Yes, it's a creepy and scary thing to talk about, but yes, it is true. I grew up in some not so very nice places and had a fairly violent life in my childhood and teenage years. It's also why I now have a boatload of PTSD, and it's also why I know these things to be true. I'm sorry if this sort of topic makes you uncomfortable. It's just the truth of the world. It's not always a nice place, and justice doesn't always come to those who deserve it. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. We're going to get our justice for Madeline, you piece of crap, garbage human being. He's being charged with capital S word battery, and as of last year, I said this earlier, he can get the death penalty for that in Florida. Of course, he'd sit in prison for years before that. It's such new legislation. There'd be a lot of back and forth on that. Maybe, or maybe his attorneys would be like, "Yeah, kill him." You know, I doubt it. But yes, the penalty for capital S-word battery in Florida is life imprisonment with parole up to death by electrocution of lethal injection. But hopefully he won't even make it to that point. Hopefully they'll get him. They'll get a hold of him. You know, we all know, we've all heard the stories. They do not like people that hurt children in prison. But let's get him charged with the murder too. He's already losing the rest of his life one way or another. They've got him with all that CP evidence, all that evil stuff, and he should really just confess. But I know people are saying, well, he didn't show his face. There's no way to know it was him. But when they did his forensic examination, they would have photographed his penis, and according to the affidavits from the arrest regarding the CP, he has a very unusual. So they can use photographs and prove, yeah, it's his. If you're gonna have a weird looking thing down there, you know, maybe keep your nose clean. But you just shouldn't do crime anyway. That was a stupid thing to say. But yeah, he has an unusual pattern of markings or whatever on it. And if I can find that information, I will also insert that here, if I can find it. So if I found that information, it was attached there. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you not enjoy it. You can't enjoy a story like this. But I hope I gave you something to think about. Please give me something to think about in the comments. I know, again, I'm not blaming mom. I'm not accusing mom. I am just questioning parts of her story. But there could be a very reasonable explanation for the contradictions in what she's been saying. And so I'm trying not to jump to any conclusions about the mom, because so many times things like this happen. The moms are automatically blamed for one reason or another. And that's because so many times we have seen the mom involved in some way. Stepchildren are in more danger than our natural children. All children are in danger. They're just so precious, you know. But so many women out there protect their man over their children, and it's highly disturbing. And we've seen it time and time again in cases very much like this. And that's why we're conditioned to believe mom had something to do with it, even without the contradictions in her statements. So, you know, you can't really blame us, but at the same time, maybe we should just give her a little bit of grace until we know more. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to everyone later. Bye.